Hey guys, mulltiy here. Today I want to talk with you about, or let's make together a little prediction for Phase 8 of Season of Discovery. As you can see here, there's a little bit of news of Season of Discovery. We already know this since a few weeks. It's starting at April 8. That's around 2 weeks from now. And on April 10, we get a new raid, the Scarlet Enclave, with legendary weapon quest line. We have new set for all the classes, for all the specs. They look pretty good. Most of them, I think all of them besides the one for Warlock has this white, golden, red coloring. So pretty good fitting for the raid. And today I want to go with you about a little bit about a prediction for the next raid, which are the best specs. In general, I want to say that if you see it on the left side, this is now for the last 2 weeks, Naxxramas on highest difficulty, 20 players. I think that's what most people are doing. Sure, you find some other raids, other sizes because it scales up and so whatever, but I think that's a fine measure. And as you can see, Season of Discovery is pretty decent balanced, or pretty good balanced. It is balanced, like I would say, retail, where for sure if you are a Mythic Plus player in it, you get higher and higher. There are differences in the specs, but in general every class is is playable. Every DPS spec is doing a good amount of damage, but for sure between the first place at the current moment, the Fire Mage, and the last place, Arcane Mage, Arms Warrior, there is a difference, don't get me wrong. So, but always the next step or the next 1 or 2 steps is not that much of a difference, so the game is pretty good balanced. In general, I also would say I have the feeling that in Season of Discovery, the casters are a little bit favored, and the new melee DPS, which in that case will be now Melee Hunter, Retribution Paladin. The old school melee DPS, like the Warrior specs, like the Rogue specs, they are a little bit more left behind. Not in a bad way, again, as you can see on the left side, but in general I would say that's my guessing, or my general feeling for Season of Discovery overall. That doesn't mean it's all the time like this. We already have 7 phases. We will get an 8th one, and I don't know how many we will get more in the future if there's some upcoming, but that's just a little bit my general thought. So let's start. I think I have it here with the classes and the specs, and I will go over like this. And I think definitely we will not need an E tier, I would say, but we definitely start with an S. And I think Feral Druid has a good chance to come out on top as one of the best specs in general. I'm just thinking about if I already want to put it in S tier or if I just want to put it in high A tier. Let's figure it out a little bit then when we're building this list together. Right now, I just put it into A tier. That brings us to Balanced Druid, and with my saying about, I think it's a little bit more caster favorite, I would put Balanced Druid into the next tier for the upcoming phase. I will put it into the S tier. I think there are 1 or 2 stronger specs, but definitely I see Balanced Druid pretty much ahead. I think also last phase, if I'm not wrong, Discovery phase 6. Yeah, Balanced Druid was here also pretty much on top, as you can see. So yeah, let's continue like this. Next one, I use this as Melee Hunter now, and I think the same about Melee Hunter that I think about Feral Druid. I just think if I would have to decide which will be again the best melee spec for the next phase, I would say it is Melee Hunter. And that's why I would put it into the S tier. That brings us to Beastmaster. It looks right now pretty weak, and I don't see a lot of this changing. I think I would put it into the C tier or low B tier. Let's see how we make here this list completing. Yeah, I would say I use this as Marksman, but Marksman and Survival Hunter are pretty much this. Nah, I have to put it C tier, I think, at the moment. Marksman and Marksman and Survival Hunter are pretty much the same. right now on the table, so I put this just as the same, and I think they will be fine specs, nothing crazy, nothing bad. Next one is Demo Warlock. Demo Warlock, let's face it, I think it's not that good of a spec. I think it's more PvP related, but Warlock has some good specs, so that's why it's not that bad. Destruction Warlock, Fire Warlock, however you want to call it, at the end of the day, I think will be also one of the best specs in the next phase. It is was mostly strong through all of Season of Discovery, so I think that will kind of continue like this, and that's why I put it pretty high. Affliction Warlock, I could say the same, but I'm not sure about it, which one will come out on top. As you can see right now, they are pretty together. Also here they were pretty much together. So I just put it like this. I have a feeling that maybe Fire Warlock will be a little bit better, and just don't get me wrong, the difference between S and A tier is minimal. The difference between each tier is at the end of the day pretty minimal, I would say. So don't get it like, wow, Affliction Warlock is so much worse than Destruction Warlock. Next one is Shadow Priest. I would hope it get better, but I see it still just in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why it is like this. They have to be totally OP, or they have to be just absolutely mid, and I think they will stay mid. Next one, Arms Warrior. It is pretty much dead, and I don't see that changing. That brings us to Fury Warrior. I think if you look at the set bony, it sounds pretty strong. It sounds maybe a little bit more strong for the damage overall than just the damage to bosses. It's a little bit depending on what you rank higher. If you are clearly speedrunning, then maybe the damage overall is a little bit more important. If you're not speedrunning, then the damage just to bosses is fine. I see a little bit of upside potential for Fury Warrior this time. That's why I would rank it at least at the top of the B tier, I think. At the top of the B tier, yeah. That's where I rank it. Arcane Mage, I guess not a big explanation necessary for how it is in Season of Discovery. Is not a good DPS spec. I would not recommend to play it, but Mage has other decent specs and you should go for them. Frost Mage could be good, but I think Mage has a clearly better spec, so I would put Frost Mage more into the B tier, more maybe in the lower end of the B tier. In that case, I think it will be worse than Shadow Priest, but we will see. And that leads us to Fire Mage, and I think there's again a pretty good chance that Fire Mage is coming out on top of all this. That's why I put it on the first place. It is right now in the first place, but let's see how this plays out. Elemental Shaman, I see here potentially in going up. Potentially going up into the, you see here right now is a little bit on the lower end of the mid. I think there's a potential that they're going up into the A tier. That's why I rank them there. I think they have some things that can help them, and especially then maybe later on if the fight's getting a little bit shorter. Enhancement Shaman is also a melee spec from, let me say, the old classic days, but always a little bit left behind. They had their shiny moments. But as you can see, last year, they were already pretty bad, and I honestly think that will continue. That's why I just put them into the C tier. I don't see them changing that much. Yeah, so I keep them there. Assassination Rogue is maybe an old school melee spec that I would say has the potential of going up in the ladders. Right now, as you can see here, completely in the middle of the pack, Assassination Rogue and Sub Rogue. That would rank them around the middle of the B tier, I would say. But I see potentially an Assassination Rogue going up into the A tier. We will have to see that. And then sub rogue, I don't see it here happening. I just put him in the middle of the list. And yeah, combat rogue, sorry, but I think the other rogue specs are just better. Brings us again to Paladin. Paladin, sure, it always was there in Classic, but not like it is in Season of Discovery. And if you look also here, it always is on the edge of getting higher. And I think the Scarlet thing could help them getting up even more. That's why I would like to put them in front of the A tier, because I think they will be a strong spec. They have a little bit of upside potential, I can see that, and I also think the set boni are pretty nice from the new upcoming set. So I would like to put them in A tier. And again, if you now see this list, I don't think we see a lot of changes. I think that maybe Balanced Druid is making a little step ahead. I think that maybe Retribution Paladin is making a little step. Elemental Shaman could make a little step because they were already strong. I think they can get strong again in this phase. You can see here they were just 5th place. They got a little bit downvoted here. And yeah, I think most bad specs will stay kind of bad, but I think in the upper end of the specs we can see some changes. If I would have to guess, or what I mean with guessing, I think I have the feeling again that we see a little bit more caster friendly, all these things. So that's why I have 3 casters in S tier, followed by 1 melee spec with the Hunter. But then, okay, some melee specs definitely with Retribution, Feral, and Asa Rogue in A tier. So it's not like I think melees are doing bad. I just think that casters are slightly favored in the Season of Discovery environment, with the runes, with the set boni and whatever. So that's how I would rank it at that moment. That's my prediction for Phase 8, the Scarlet Enclave in Season of Discovery. Good luck, guys. Have fun. Just a few weeks more and we are there. Bye bye.